how did you cope with that anger? Or is it still there?
I was just about to say, yeah. Am I still coping with that anger? Right. It is still there. And I think you've probably seen some of it in the TikTok videos. It's an undercurrent, you know, I think, to all of the work I do now. I'm a very justice oriented person. Like it pains me to see injustice in the world, and I think once I came out and started making queer friends and started finding other people, you know, a lot of people I grew up with who were queer, and, you know, we just didn't know that about each other because we were all just so desperately trying to hide it. Once I saw the impact it was having on this broad group of people, and that we were a broad group of people, you know, I didn't feel so more like I was the only person in the world who, you know, was attracted to, the only boy in the world who was attracted to men. It just started to burn in me, just this like righteous anger for how for all the pain that people have gone through, and all the people I met at those Exodus conferences, and the people in my group therapy sessions, and the tears we would shed in front of each other when we were trying to talk our way out of who we were.
Right.
Yeah, just it's still one of the things that drives me, my anger, and I'm not you know, I'm definitely one of the people who believe that our emotions all exist for a reason, and I believe that we have to do well at managing our emotions. I'm not always the best. I'm not always perfect at managing my emotions, but I do try to use my anger in ways that are constructive. And, you know, if anything, make sure that I'm using it to fight for justice, and to stand up for people who've been hurt. So.
And like, not to be rude to a lady, but how old are you now?
I'm 38 years old.
Okay, so you've been
38 years young. Yeah, I've been, you know, for a full decade now.
healing.
I'm married now. You know, I got married a year and a half ago, and
congratulations.
Thank you very much. You know, my name's Flamy Grant. Sometimes I like to refer to my husband as Vince Thrill, just so that we both have a fun little tongue-in-cheeky drag name.
Right.
But yeah, it's been a decade of discovering myself, like coming back to that boy, that little Matthew we were talking about, the boy who loved colors, like all these bright colors. You know, obviously I've found a way to nurture that child and bring that child to life in the person I am today. And I've just tried to pour my energy into making space for people to feel whole, feel fully accepted, you know, truly belong, not just fit in, but truly belong. And so, you know, I do that through the podcast we've already mentioned. I do that now through drag. It's interesting. My drag was very much my own little private, personal thing that I just, you know, I got hooked on Drag Race a few years ago. My husband and I were just binging the seasons, and we were joking around one night about what if we had drag names, what would our names be? And oh, look, someone just asked about that. Look, this segue, how great!
Yeah. Totally worked out well.
Answer this question right now. Herding
cats.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Herding cats.
Herding cats. I love it. That's really cute. So obviously a lot of drag performers have punny names, tongue-in-cheeky names that are, you know, based on Tina Burner, is on this season of Drag Race, and I've always liked a good pun. Hi, John. Good to see you here. John is actually in a Facebook group called the Gay Friends of Amy Grant that I was recently invited to be a part of. And
hey.
So I picked Flamy Grant because I didn't grow up, I was not allowed to listen to the Chers, the Madonnas, all the queer icons that people of my generation have. I didn't know who they were because pop culture was bad and I could only listen to anything we could buy at our local family Christian bookstore. So
Right.
to me, Amy Grant was the epitome of stardom, and she was everything, and I just adored her. And so when we were laying in bed that one night talking about our drag names, I was like, well, I'd like to have a punny, funny name, after a big diva. And I was like, but my biggest diva is Amy.
Right.
The first word I could think of that rhymed with Amy was Flamy, and I was just like, the second I said it, I was like, and I didn't even tell my husband that night, but I went and I reserved all the handles, like the Instagram handle and all the things, because I was like, I feel like this is something. And I wasn't even really I had no plans to do drag at that point. I was just kind of obsessed with it. And then lo and behold, here we are. Quarantine pandemic happened, and I had a whole lot of extra time on my hands, and I learned how to do some makeup, and I learned how to do some wigs and costumes. And fortunately, I live in a house with some housemates who are musicians, and my co-hosts on the podcast. And so we have been doing a Thursday night live concert on the internet every Thursday night since quarantine began. And I started coming to those shows in drag, and that was really where I learned to do all this silliness.
Oh, nice. So you so you first got into drag for that concert, or?
Well, no, the first time in drag was Halloween.
Of course.
Every Halloween, a new drag queen is born, and I'm one of those. So I went as a witch, and I was very excited. It's like, it's that Halloween's the time when it's safe to play with gender and explore some things. And so I went as a witch named Mahulda Dratch, and she's a mess. Those pictures are a delight to look back on.
Right.
But it was the Halloween before, it was 2019. So 2020 rolled around, and I was stuck at home, and I had done it a couple times up to that point, just at home, just playing with makeup. And once once quarantine really hit and we were in lockdown, I was like, well, I'm gonna take this opportunity and start playing around. So that's the funny thing about Flamy. It was my little safe project. I didn't want to share it with anybody. I didn't even, like I said, I didn't even tell my husband for months that I had the Instagram account, but I was posting my little looks on there. And I just never intended for, despite the fact that I chose a drag name like Flamy Grant that so clearly has ties to an evangelical upbringing, and there's so much culture around American Christianity and the little subcultures that we created in the 80s and 90s, and that still happen, obviously. Even though I picked that myself, I still didn't want for Flamy to be part of the work I was doing with Heathen, or just any of my spiritual deconstruction, any of that. I was like, this is just for me. I just want to have some fun, pretty makeup and just learn some new skills. So, and it was for a while. And then my friend Kate, who is the pastor of the church that I attend now, not the same church that I moved here to start. She, I was doing Flamy on Thursday nights on our little live show. So she had come out, Flamy was out in the world, and I was like, okay, this is great. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm going to just follow this dream, follow this thread.